Alright, well, HBO finally did it. They finally got to the pinnacle moment of the second game, the moment of Joel's death. The internet is once again exploding as everyone has their own thoughts and feelings. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people feel that it fixes all of the issues the game had, while others say it absolutely destroys everything the game creates. And all I can think about in the meantime is the changes made to one character, the character of Tommy. So hey everyone, it's Soul here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we have a lot to talk about in relation to these first two episodes in the second season of The Last of Us, because while there are some interesting changes, some of which I will admit I enjoy and others I dislike, I'm really worried to see where they are going to go with Tommy's story now that they've made some crucial changes to the pinnacle moment of Joel's murder. Before we jump in though, please remember to hit that like button, click subscribe to see more videos from me, follow me over on Twitch, and leave a comment down below. Here is your one and only warning that this video contains spoilers. Alright, let's just jump right into things here. In episode 2, as Joel is out on patrol and Abby stumbles upon him with a lot of luck, it's Dina that's set up on patrol with Joel instead of Tommy. So many people online were praising this change, saying that it fixes the issue of these two strong men being dumb enough to use their names, to which my first instinct is to simply say that using their names showcases a certain amount of growth and trust that they have in humanity again. But besides that point, because I know a lot of people disagree about that, instead I want you to look at the rest of the story, because Tommy being there when this happens is what drives him to hold on to revenge to the detriment of his own health and happiness later on in the game. He loses everything on his mission for revenge. Aside from just the physical injuries and scars that he has, he goes on to lose his role in Jackson, and he loses Maria, who is his second chance at love. Although it's never stated out loud in the game, a huge reason that I personally believe Tommy is so painfully desperate for revenge is because of the guilt he feels for being the one to have introduced Joel to Abby. He is the one that has essentially caused his own brother's death, and that guilt is what haunts him for the rest of his story. So now when we look at the show, the swap of Dina and Tommy, I'm really worried to see how they are going to turn him into this revenge-hungry character. Add this to the fact that he has a family. He not just has Maria, he doesn't just have his role in Jackson, he now has a son that he truly, deeply cares about. So the fact that he's not there with Joel at this moment of death makes it really hard to see how they are going to get him to that level of rage, grief, and guilt that we see in the games. I know that there's the possibility they might try and swing the writing to the other side of things, saying that Tommy wasn't there and he feels guilty for not being there to try and save his brother's life, but I'm just not seeing him sacrificing his connection with his family to go on this mission, especially after they just survived this chaotic, dangerous battle with infected. They survived and they're together and they're so grateful for their lives. I just don't see how he's going to give all of that up to go on this revenge mission that might be a complete failure. With him being so family-oriented, I just feel like Maria in this version and the connection she has with Tommy, and because he's not there when Joel dies, she'll easily be able to talk him out of going on this mission and to stop him from losing himself to grief and revenge. In a lot of ways, I do feel like this might be the better option, purely because it feels a bit more truthful to this version of Tommy. But then that goes on to create a whole other set of problems on its own, because Tommy's presence in Ellie's story, especially at that ending, is so crucial to the events that occur. Tommy's presence and Tommy's arrival into Ellie's story during the events of Seattle plays a role in bringing Ellie home and away from revenge. I genuinely don't think that Dina and Jesse's conversations would have been enough to stop Ellie from going full-on revenge for Abby right at that ending. Tommy being an uncle and being the brother to Joel, telling her that it's enough, it's time to go home. That is why I feel Ellie truly stopped. I don't know if Ellie would have gone home if it wasn't for Tommy being there. So then if they take away Tommy from this version of the story, I don't know how they're going to be able to stop Ellie's desires for revenge here. Not to mention, we have that sort of angel and devil scene at the farmhouse, where Tommy is begging Ellie to go after Abby because he cannot, and Dina is there begging Ellie to stay. That tension, that point of conflict that showcases Ellie's moral decisions, that is one of the other points of the game where Tommy is so incredibly crucial. So I'm not quite sure how they would be able to pull it off if they don't have Tommy going on this mission. So let's just say it's going to be an interesting ride no matter what they do, because the character of Tommy has already changed so drastically and the start of this revenge pathway is already greatly altered. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here. Aside from these concerning changes to Tommy's character, I do want to talk about a few other changes to the story. Not everything, I do want to reserve some of my thoughts and feelings on major changes for the ending of the season. Things like the introduction of Abby's morals and motives early on is something that I don't really love right off the bat, but it might end up working better in the long run. It's too early for me to analyze from a writing standpoint, but if you want to know just my first reactive, instinctive feelings about it, I don't love it because I personally enjoyed the version of the game story, but that is obviously just my opinion, and other people really like that we get Abby's story now instead of later. But there are some other changes to this that I do want to bring up right away, one of which being Ellie's characterization in these first 2 episodes. I really don't like what they are doing with Ellie here, and I find her to be a bit bratty and almost insulting to the video game version. When I did my Season 1 analysis, I really wasn't worried about Ellie going into the second season. They got to that ending, and all they had to do from here on out is showcase Ellie still dealing with survivor's guilt, and then going forward with showing the rage and complexity of all of her emotions after Joel is killed. But instead, we have a version of Ellie that is not only bratty and annoying, but is doing everything wrong in this community. Ellie is walking around in Jackson here as if she knows better than everyone else. She's acting like she knows better than the people training her, and she's breaking the rules out on patrol. This really aggravated me a lot because of the fact that Ellie in the game is desperate to prove her worth to the community of Jackson. She's taking on extra patrols as we find out in these flashbacks. We see that she's not the one breaking the rules, but Dina is actually the one doing so. And Ellie is so riddled with survivor's guilt still to this day that it's manifesting in her being almost this workaholic in Jackson as she tries to prove to everyone around her, but more importantly to herself, that she can be useful in other ways outside of just being someone who's immune. So seeing this version of Ellie that doesn't portray any of this complexity and how survivor's guilt can sort of appear in different aspects of her life, I just find this to be a very annoying version of Ellie, which really rubbed a lot of people the wrong way based on most people's reviews and comments in these early 2 episodes. Another character I'm a little bit worried about is, of course, Dina. With Dina and Tommy switching places here, Dina now has a personal stake in the mission for revenge. She's the one that let Joel's name slip. That guilt is now going to be put on her instead of on Tommy. So I'm very curious to see how they play this, because in the video game, Dina, while supportive of Ellie in her mission for revenge, is in many ways a voice of reason later on. But now that she's there, now that she witnessed Joel's death, and now that the TV show decided to make Joel and Dina's relationship a lot stronger, at times implying that they wish they could be this father-daughter duo, which, side note, I didn't really love, but the TV show did it anyway. So now that they have a stronger connection, Dina's own frustrations and drive for revenge is going to be a lot stronger than the video game. So I am very curious to see how they play that and how her story will change. I'm gonna hold off talking about Abby too much here, but I do want to just briefly mention, I don't like the fact that they're pulling away from violence yet again in relation to her and her friend's story. Right off the bat, her dream sequence I feel like should have shown us what she saw. Show us the violence that Joel left behind. Show us her crying and sobbing over her father's dead body, and then use this scene where she's sort of talking to her past self to showcase how much she thinks about this. Give us this later on, but show us that gore and violence in the beginning to show us the trauma that she felt. Don't just imply it by hearing the screams echo in the background. But also, in addition to this lack of violence, her friends being a bit hesitant to attack Dina and Joel is something that I found to be very weird. They are painting Mel in this scene to be a bit more sympathetic and hesitant, when in reality, Mel wanted to kill Ellie here. The only voice of reason in this original scene was Owen. But now, everyone in the group seems hesitant to attack. I don't understand the implication of them pulling back on this violence, because every single one of these characters suffered a deep loss because of Joel's actions. In the game, they are all instinctively eager and ready to pounce on him the second they heard his name, and they actually didn't even get confirmation that this is the Joel Miller that they were looking for, until after Abby already shot off Joel's kneecaps. Their readiness to attack and pounce on Joel and Tommy here, I think, showcases the instinctual reaction that they all have and their desires for revenge after all of the pain that Joel has caused them. They don't hesitate for a minute here. They don't even take into consideration they might be wrong. But in the show, they're all very reflective, calm, and hesitant. I don't love this right off the bat, but again, I'll be looking forward to seeing how they twist this and turn this with the group and the characters moving forward. Aside from all of these characters, the world building has changed a little bit, with the infected becoming almost intelligent and acting more and more like this hive mind. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't like the cordyceps being connected underground in the first season, purely because of the fact it's only in one episode. It did start to feel a little bit like a plot convenience because it didn't come up again, but here, right off the bat, we have it full-blown right front and center as the infected go on to attack the city of Jackson. I really like this battle sequence. I thought it added a great moment of tension, and if they keep bringing up the fact that the cordyceps are sometimes connected underground, combined with the fact that these stalkers are now this new intelligent version of infected, I think it makes a really cool way to change up the world building of this story. But that being said, they have to keep bringing it up, because if this is the only time we see it, it's gonna feel like a plot convenience yet again. As for the actual battle sequence that we see occur at Jackson, I thought it was really cool to see them defending the city like this. It's smart, it's resourceful, they fought back, they had a plan. Yes, they had some difficulties, but I liked it up until about the halfway point. After the infected break through the walls, I don't see how they are able to escape with their lives. It does start to feel a little bit like the Battle of Winterfell here, considering the fact that both Maria and Tommy, and presumably their son, have all survived and escaped this battle with their lives. I know that most people in Jackson are dead. We see so many casualties, but it just starts to feel a little bit too convenient that no one of the main cast got injured here. Add that to the fact that we never actually see how the battle turns around. Doesn't make much sense to me. Yes, I know they imply the battle gets turned around when Maria releases the dogs and the dogs attack the infected, but they just showed me in the previous episode how 5 to 8 infected destroyed and took down this giant grizzly bear. And now you want me to believe that 15, at most 20 dogs are enough to take on hundreds, if not thousands of infected that are sprinting towards this city? I'm sorry, I'm just not believing the statistics here. I don't feel like they have enough manpower and strength to fight this off after they've been overrun on the rooftops by all of these infected. But ultimately, at the end of the day, they survive, and Jackson is going to need a lot of work to recover from this horrible, horrible incident here. The last thing I want to leave you guys with before I end this video is the question of, do you feel that Joel was violent enough in the first season and within these first 2 episodes in order for us to understand why Abby killed him? I keep going back to that scene in Abby's dream sequence where I feel like they needed to showcase her dead father in order to portray some amount of Joel's violence, since as we discussed in my season 1 analysis video, it just doesn't feel like Joel is as violent of a person as he was in the video games. So I don't know, let me know all of your thoughts and feelings about these first 2 episodes down below. I'm definitely feeling a bit conflicted. I don't know if I'll make another video about this season until the end or not. I guess it depends on how many more changes they make. We'll see if I have things to say or if I will wait until the ending to see the full story and picture that they have for this season. So with that, everyone, if you made it this far into the video, let me know by leaving a golf club emoji because Well, do I really need to explain that one? If you guys like my discussion and my thoughts, please remember to hit the like button down below, and once again, please let me know your thoughts. I know everyone has their own different emotions, but let's keep this as an open space for discussions. It's okay to not agree about these things. This plot point in this story has torn people apart, so let's just have an open conversation down in the comments section below. While you're down there, consider clicking subscribe to see more videos from me, and turn on notifications if you want to be notified whenever I post a new video. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I will see you future souls next time. Bye, guys!